Association, a non-profit organization in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Arbitration is generally considered a more efficient process than litigation because it's quicker, less expensive, and provides greater flexibility of process and procedure. Thus, being a fledgling forum aiming at fostering arbitration and mediation, is constituted of arbitral professional and law student. And today, my topic is grounds for challenges on the appointment of arbitrators. Here, I'm going to cover section 12 and its amendment. Let us discuss some important section before moving to the case. Here, section 11, appointment of arbitrators. We know that parties are free to agree upon the procedure for appointing arbitrators. Here, subsection 6 and 8 provide a party or the party appointed arbitrator or the institution fails to act as per the procedure or fails to function what they expected by the parties, then either party can approach the court to take necessary measures. And here the subsection 8 provide the court can appoint an arbitrator, but before it seeks full disclosure from the arbitrator as well as his qualification, that is, he is competent or not to conduct the arbitration proceeding. And next to section 12, grounds for challenge. This section is very important. This highlighted points are newly amended in the year 2015. Without this point, the section is powerless. Let's see subsection 1. Here, the arbitrator should disclose everything in writing, which gives any justifiable doubt upon his independence or impartiality. And the circumstance like whether the arbitrator's relationship with the parties or a relationship with a dispute or any interest in the dispute. And next, he must also disclose the qualification that whether he is competent to conduct the arbitration proceeding within 12 months. And here two explanations are given. First one, here mentioned Schedule 5. This Schedule 5 is very useful to determine the circumstances which are likely to give rise to the justifiable doubt upon his independence and impartiality. And the next explanation provide Schedule 6. Here, the arbitrator should disclose in the form specified in the Schedule 6. And the next subsection 3 and 4. An arbitrator may be challenged only in the circumstance if there is any justifiable doubt upon his independence and impartiality, or the arbitrator does not possess any required qualification. And the subsection 4 provide whether the appointment of arbitrator is made without the party's consent, then the party can challenge an arbitrator. And the next subsection, here section 12 subsection 5 is very important because under this section, Schedule 7 is given. Any person who falls under the categories of the item set out in the Schedule 7, then he is ineligible to act as an arbitrator. And this section can be maybe waived by the parties by the agreement in writing.
Sorry to interrupt. Hope it is visible. The slide is visible.
No, sir. Yeah, now it's visible, sir.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay, I repeat the section 12, subsection 5. Here it provides Schedule 7. So a person whose relation fall under the categories of the items set out in the Schedule 7, he is ineligible to act as an arbitrator. As well as the parties may waive this applicability of section by agreement in writing. And please remember this section because this section and the Schedule 7 plays a major role in the cases which I'm going to take today. And the next section 13, challenge procedure. Here subsection 2 provide a party who intends to challenge an arbitrator, he must send a written statement to the arbitral tribunal within 15 days after he becoming aware of the circumstances. And subsection 4 provide if the challenge procedure is not successful, then the arbitral proceeding can continue the proceeding and made an award. Then after that also the party want to challenge an arbitrator means he can go with the ground set aside the award under section 34. And the next section 14, failure or impossibility to act. Here, in case the arbitrator is failed to act or impossible to act, then the authority of the arbitrator shall terminate and substituted by the another arbitrator. So for this, the parties can approach the court to appoint an arbitrator, substitute an arbitrator under this section. And the next slide. Here, see, Schedule 7 is not an exhaustive list which contain what are all contained in the Schedule 5. Here, I just give the gist of the concept. Whenever the person's relation fall under the categories set out in the Schedule 7, he is ineligible to act as an arbitrator. Okay. Here one case, Sudhak Kalani versus Tata Finance Limited. It is pre-amendment case, that is before 2015 amendment. Let us make it easy. Appellant versus respondent. Here the fact of the case, respondent granted financial facility to GPL company, and for that the appellant provide a personal guarantee to the respondent. But there was some dispute arose, so they invoked an arbitration as per the arbitration class. So here the respondent invoked the arbitration, and as per their arbitration class, sole arbitrator was appointed. Then the two application came to be filed before the arbitrator, and the two main questions raised by the appellant side. First one regarding the jurisdiction of arbitral tribunal under section 16, because the appellant stated that the same GPL company has been declared as sick industrial company. So under section 22 of the Sick Industrial Companies Act, this arbitral proceeding against this company were not maintainable. And second question he raised, under section 22, there was some justifiable doubt upon his independence and impartiality, because the appellant stated that the sole arbitrator was acted as an advocate for the respondent, but the arbitrator rejected this two questions and stated in his order that regarding the first question, the under section 22 of the Sick Industrial Company only protect if there is any suit against the company. But here there is no suit against the company, only arbitral proceedings is there. And regarding the second issue, he stated that he was acted as an advocate for the Tata International Limited and not for Tata Finance Limited. So he rejected this both question raised by the appellant and made an award, but this award was challenged before the court. At first, the court was also rejected this two contention raised by the appellant, and finally, the appellant's counsel put forward the ground too, and he stated that the arbitrator had not disclosed that he was the head of the legal department in one of the group companies of respondent. Then one question raised before the court for the consideration that whether there was an obligation of the arbitrator to disclose every circumstance that he was employed in the legal department of the group companies of respondent. Then finally the court held that there was no justifiable doubt upon the arbitrator and independence and impartiality, because not every doubt felt by the parties which lead to the conclusion that the arbitrator was always biased. So the pure administration required the parties to the arbitration proceeding should believe the arbitrator. That's all this case. And next case, sir. Please slide next. Yes. Here, Voestalpine Sheenen versus Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. Yes, one interesting case. Here, DMRC entered into a contract with Voestalpine Sheenen Company. Here, Delhi Metro Rail Corporation is one of the public sector undertaking, and there was some dispute arose in their business, and they invoked an arbitration clause as per their contract. Their arbitration clause contains 3 points. First point, the DMRC, that is the respondent, want to prepare a list of arbitrator, and the arbitrator were also from the public sector undertaking or from government department. And next point, okay. And the next point, DMRC and the Sheenen Company must select each one arbitrator from this list, and the appointed arbitrator want to select one presiding arbitrator from the same list. So this appointment of arbitrator was challenged by the appellant, and he stated that the arbitrator's relation fall under the categories of items set up in the Schedule 7. So it attracts schedule, in terms of section 12, subsection 5. And so he argued, filed a petition before the court that under section 11, subsection 6 and 8, praying before the court to appoint any other arbitrator. But here the main issue was that in the light of 2015 amendment, whether the arbitration clause present in their in their contract becomes invalid in terms of section 12 subsection 5. But finally the court held that in this case, if the court takes arbitrator, if the court is appellant's prayer, then no person would be appointed as an arbitrator only for the reason he had worked earlier in the government department. So court rejected the appellant's prayer and held that if the arbitrator didn't have any relationship with any of the parties, then they were not barred under section 12 subsection 5. And that's all. And next case, sir. Yes, this is a landmark case, TRF Limited versus Energio Engineering Project. Okay, here the same type of fact. There was some business maintained between the parties. Then some dispute arose at one point of time. So they invoked an arbitration clause as per their contract. Here the arbitration clause contained respondents. Here the arbitration clause contained respondents. MD was appointed as an arbitrator, or he was to nominate someone else as an arbitrator. So this was challenged by the appellant, and he argued before the court, and he argued before the High Court that this arbitrator relation fall under Schedule 7. So he is ineligible to act as well as ineligible to nominate someone else as an arbitrator. So he prayed before the court to appoint some other arbitrator as per section 11 subsection 6 and 8. But High Court at first rejected his contention and held that MD is not eligible to appoint to be acted as an arbitrator, but MD can nominate someone else as an arbitrator. But this ruling was challenged before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court held that MD is not eligible because his relations fall under the category Schedule 7, and thus makes him ineligible to appoint someone else as an arbitrator. And the court stated, once the infrastructure collapsed, then the superstructure collapsed as well. Okay, that's all. Here in this case, the court held in favor of TRF Limited. So next case, please. Sorry, next slide. Yes. Here, HDR Corporation versus GAIL India Limited. One interesting case here, HDR and GAIL enter into a long-term agreement. Already 3 arbitrations have taken place between the parties, and this current dispute arises from the 4th arbitration. And here you see the tabular column for your easy understanding, and I mentioned arbitrators, that is Justice name as Justice ABC for your clear understanding. Okay, for the first arbitration, the arbitral tribunal consisting of Justice A, B, C. And for the second arbitration, the same panel was constituted. And for the third arbitration, the arbitration tribunal consisting of Justice E, Justice B, and Justice D. And here in 4th arbitration, HDR, that is the appellant, nominated Justice F as an arbitrator, and GAIL nominated Justice D as an arbitrator. And both appointed arbitrators selected Justice Z as an presiding arbitrator. Here the main dispute started because the HDR, that is the appellant, challenged the appointment of presiding arbitrator as well as the appointment of Justice D, because he stated that regarding a presiding arbitrator. The appellant stated the presiding arbitrator has previously given some legal opinions to respondent. So it attracts the Schedule 7 as well as Schedule 5. Then the appellant raised the question against the appointment of Justice D, and he stated he was also participated in the previous arbitration held between the same parties. So it attracts Schedule 7, and this was taken before the court, and the Supreme Court finally held that the parties are permissible to challenge an arbitrator directly before the court when the arbitrator's relation fall under the categories set out in the Schedule 7. But the parties are not permissible to challenge an arbitrator directly before the court when it attracts Schedule 5. Okay, so the parties want to wait unless and until the arbitral tribunal make an award. Okay, and regarding the presiding arbitrator, the Supreme Court held that the presiding arbitrator has only given the legal opinion to respondent and not a regular opinion, so it does not attract Schedule 7. And regarding Justice D, nominated by the respondent, the Supreme Court stated that because of his involvement in the previous arbitration, would not ineligible to act as an arbitrator for the subsequent arbitration. So in this case, the court held in favor of GAIL India Limited. Last case, Bharat Broadband Network Limited versus United Telecom Limited. The same type of fact. There was a contract between the parties. Some dispute arose at one point of time. So they invoked an arbitration clause as per their contract. Here the arbitration clause contained appellant's chairman want to appoint an arbitrator. So as per that, the appellant's chairman appointed a sole arbitrator. Here in this case, respondent invoked an arbitration. Okay, but appointment made by the chairman was challenged by the appellant, and he argued before the sole arbitrator that the appellant argued before the sole arbitrator with reference case TRF judgment that the chairman is ineligible to act as an arbitrator, as well as he is ineligible to nominate someone else as an arbitrator. So he prayed before the sole arbitrator to allow the parties to approach the High Court to substitute some other arbitrator under section 14 and 15. But the sole arbitrator rejected his argument. Then this was taken before the High Court. The High Court also rejected his argument and rejected his petition filed under section 14 and 15. And the High Court rejected under two grounds. First one, the very person who appointed an arbitrator now challenging the same arbitrator after participating in arbitration proceeding. And second ground, the appointment letter issued by the appellant and the statement of claim filed before the filed before the sole arbitrator by the respondent turns into express agreement which waive the applicability of section 12 subsection 5. But this was taken before the Supreme Court. Then the Supreme Court held that there was no such agreement exists between the parties, and the court stated the appointment letter issued by the appellant and the statement of claim filed by the respondent was not become the agreement to waive the applicability of this section. And also the Supreme Court held the very person who appointed an arbitrator can challenge an arbitrator if his relationship with any of the parties attract Schedule 7. Here in this case, the Supreme Court set aside the award made by the sole arbitrator and held in favor of the appellant, under section what he prayed under section 14. So the Supreme Court substituted some other arbitrator for their dispute. Thank you.